We produce flowers because that's perhaps maybe the quickest way of getting food. And the reason is because flowers are high value in the markets, and we need the money to be able to buy food. If we grew the food instead, we would have that much less food, because per unit area, growing food and growing flowers for food, we get more food growing flowers than growing food. Maybe to unpack that in simple English, the price of flowers per unit area compared to the price of like a staple like maize is at least 12 times. For vegetables, it's at least 8 times. So flowers about 12 times. So if I grow flowers on a unit area, I get 12 plates. And if I grow maize on the same area, I get 1 plate. So I feed people much quicker growing high value agriculture than low value agriculture. The early 70s, when there was a huge promotion of what you call kitchen gardens, grow your own food kind of approach, where production was actually the end in terms of catering for people's needs. So basically, there was the understanding those days that food had to be in the granary for the family to be secure. So food security at that time was understood to be food in the granary. So all the cassava you need in the granary, all the cereals you need in your granary, all produced, all the eggs you need in your home were from your chicken. So it was like a closed system. Every home was to be like a closed system. That was an idealistic thinking in the early 70s, mid 70s. Now look what happened. Africa became much poorer. Farmers got really trapped into poverty, because then beyond eating, there was no commercial value of what they were doing. But people do not have a need of eating only. People have a medical need. People have education need and other developmental needs. Now, to cater for that, income or revenue must be generated. Now, since everybody was being encouraged to produce food in the village, there was no market, or very little market for that matter. So there was no commerce component. Everybody thought that people should produce their own food. And then it changed from that time to today, where food security, any economist will tell you, is not food in your granary. It is food in your pocket. So that's why we say Dubai is not food insecure. It's food secure. Dubai is food secure. They have a desert, but they're food secure because they're food in the pocket. Now, Africa, with all the rain, they're food insecure because the economics or the justification or the revenue from farming is not always guaranteed, because most people still think that Africans should actually be farming only for their food and not for trade. So if we go that route, we go back to the abject poverty of subsistence farming. It is totally inconsistent with what we know across the world. I mean, if societies are improving their livelihood because of commerce, then African farmers are also rational people, and they should be allowed to participate on the global value chain through commercialization of what they can produce. Commerce or incomes or revenue is what will fight poverty, not food. So the problem of Africa is not food, it's commerce. Obviously, we understand that the focus most of the time is on flowers. Why? Because flowers, somebody will argue, is not food, and therefore should never be a priority. And therefore, if you're talking about growing maize or growing tomatoes, that's much better than talking about flowers. I think it's a perception, yeah? Now, what's causing people to starve is that we have 80% of Kenyans who supposedly depend on agriculture. And these people are living in the rural areas. And these people are trapped into subsistence farming. They farm to feed on what they grow. It doesn't pay to farm. When it is too much production, they are doomed to a fall in price. When it is too little production, they are doomed to an increase in price just when they don't have food because there was a crop failure. So either way, they lose out. They lose out on price when they do more, and they lose out on money when there is not much production, because they still have to buy food and they have not produced enough of it, and they have to look for money from elsewhere, and they don't have another economic activity. So the concept of subsistence farming, the concept of producing food for the family, is what is causing poverty. So people starve for precisely the reason why we are trying to tell people, please, arguing that Kenya or Africa should not trade in agriculture, in crops that have a lot of water or crops that are not food, is the precise reason why they will be lacking food. I mean, the food that we seek to provide to them through subsistence farming is the reason why they will never get the food.
If you disband the flower farms, where could we go? That's where we depend now. That's where these children depend. If you disband the flowers, where the flower farms, where will the future of these children head to? Like this kid, both her parents are working in the flower farm, and she depends on them for her growing up, for her education, and for her future. If you disband the flower farms, where will her life go? The price of the foods and the commodities which are important for humans are going higher and higher and higher. So if her parents don't have a job in the flower farms, where will they get the money to feed this kid? And in Kenya, it's not only, you can't depend on farming, because even the farm without the inputs like fertilizer, you can't get anything that could help you. You can't get it. So that's why we all depend on these flower farms. So the salary that we earn from these flower farms, we are able to take care of our family. We are able to develop from the salaries that we earn from the flower farms. So if they disband the flower farms, I think we'll die of poverty. Yeah.
The truth of the matter is that it's important to separate facts from fiction. Maybe the best question is to ask is, why is there such a sustained campaign on Kenyan flowers or Kenyan vegetables in markets such as the UK? Why is that a situation? Is that because those guys hate Kenyans or Kenya?